Hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast, and I am, as usual, the Common Constitutionalist. I have three topics today. I don't know whether I'll get to them all or not. The first one is, well, he's at it again, calling for a total ban on all migrants into the country. But it's not who you think. You're going to have to just listen and find out, aren't you? And the Olympics have begun down in Rio. Hooray for Rio. What a blank hole Rio apparently is. And they've started out with a bang, literally with a bang in one instance anyway. And the last topic I may or may not get to is the United States Navy, my United States Navy. Looks like they're finally going to get rid of the stupid blue camouflage, what they call aquaflage uniforms, and they're going to something completely different. Well, not completely different. Well, I don't know whether we're going to get to that or not today on the Common Constitution.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
So, ever since the Donald brought it up, he's been dogged by this Muslim ban, the complete Muslim immigrant ban, and then just to ban all immigrants for a period of time, or migrants, or however you want to classify them. And this thing's been dogging him since day one. He's backed off a lot on it. He's it's kind of been in the weeds. He hasn't spoken about it much. He does need to get back and talk to those key issues. I actually wrote an article about that yesterday, about the fact that Trump needs to, if he stands a chance of doing anything, making any inroads on Hillary, he's going to have to get back to his core big idea issues and give up on this nonsense that he just keeps getting distracted with. But at any rate, there is a president who has picked up the mantle and is calling for a complete and total ban of all migrants into his country, and that is the Czech Republic, President Milos Zeman. And he's actually taking it a big step further than the Trumpster. I'll get to that in a minute. But the Clarion Project reports, and what did I tell you about the Clarion Project? If you're not reading the Clarion Project, read the Clarion Project. If you want to know about everything Islam, radical Islam, ISIS, wherever it is in the world, if it has anything to do with Islam, you're going to find out about it probably first at the Clarion Project. I don't always agree 100% with these people, but they are on the cutting edge. And you can go to my site, right on the home page, on the right-hand side, just click on the Clarion Project. It's the scroll-down icon, whatever the heck it is, and just click on that, and it'll take you right to them. But I suggest that everybody, at least once a week, kind of bone up on their Islam, so to speak. But at any rate, they report that the president of the Czech Republic, Milos Zeman, and I assume that that's how you pronounce his name. Everyone knows if they listen to me on a regular basis, I can't pronounce anybody's name right. Joe Smith, that's about it. Beyond that, I'm freaking lost. But the president of the Czech Republic, Milos Zeman, has urged his country to seal the borders to all refugees in an effort to protect the Czech Republic from Islamic terrorism. Smart guy. One of his spokesmen said, "Our country simply cannot afford to risk terrorist attacks like what occurred in France and Germany, and frankly everywhere else. By accepting migrants, we would create fertile ground for barbaric attacks." And ain't that the truth? Because it seems everywhere they've been accepted en masse, there have been at least 1-2 dozens of incidents of barbaric attacks, either by gun or by suicide vest or some other kind of bomb, or by machete, or by knife, or by, who knows, a pair of scissors. Actually, I think there was. There was a scissors attack in Israel, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I was joking about that until I remembered I believe there was. I believed it might have even been an IDF soldier who got scissored. I don't think he died from it, but I think he got stabbed in the back with a pair of scissors by some Palestinian jerkwad. But I digress. I do that a lot. Oh well, I gotta stop digressing so much. But Zeman wasn't finished. He wasn't nearly done. He also said, as the Clarion Project reports, he told his citizens that they should arm themselves, despite previously having opposed an armed citizenry in an interview with the Czech outlet Blesk. Blesk. I have to re-up my subscription to Blesk. I forgot. Zeman says, I really think that citizens should arm themselves against terrorists, and I honestly admit that I have changed my mind. Perish the thought. He changed his mind and admitted that he changed his mind. Because previously, I was against citizens having too many weapons. After these attacks, I don't think so. So he is all for arming the citizenry. And they don't even have a Second Amendment over there. Fancy that. Maybe the Attorney General for the state of New York will fly over there and put a complaint in or file suit at The Hague or something in the international court against the Czech Republic president for endangering his citizenry by telling him that they need to be armed or some silliness. Wouldn't put it past him, to tell you the truth. Frankly, wouldn't put it past Obama either. To go to the UN, and if one of the Muslim migrants gets killed by an innocent Czech citizen, Zeman would be brought up on some sort of war crime or something. And then he compared the Czech Republic to Israel, where he said, almost, this is a little embellishment, but hey, what the heck? Why? Maybe Zeman's got a sense of humor. Who knows? He said almost every man in Israel walks around with a machine gun over his shoulder. That's not quite accurate, Mr. President. But hey, and then he said of his people that these people will have to get used to the fact that their weapon can't be hidden in a cupboard at home anymore. Not machine guns necessarily. He's not promoting the slinging of machine guns like, what did he say? Every man in Israel. I wasn't aware of that. Maybe I should move to Israel. That'd be great. But he said a pistol, for example, and that the pistol, where necessary, will have to be ready for a situation where it has to be used. Well, what's the point in owning a pistol, and what's the point in carrying one in public if you don't ever intend to use it, or you don't know how to use it? But then the Clarion Project goes on to editorialize, I guess, a little bit, or at least the author of this particular article goes on to editorialize. And this is kind of where I break from this. Up until now, I've been in firm agreement with this entire article. But the author says that while there is no obligation on countries to prejudice the interests of their pre-existing citizens, in order to secure the rights of refugees, it is important that genuine refugees be provided for in accordance with the universal principles of human rights. Well, that's terrific, except for when you get such a huge flood of refugees that there's no way to incorporate them into your country's present society. It's impossible, and frankly, nor do they want to. Most of these people, most of these genuine, real refugees, I'm not talking about the ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all the other fighters who blend in just to get into the country to blow something up or to kill somebody. I'm talking about the genuine refugees. Most of these refugees don't even want to go to Europe. They don't want to leave their homes. They don't want to leave their cities and their towns behind, but they're being forced to in some cases by ISIS or whomever, Assad or whatever. And they've got nowhere else to go because they're just being pushed further north into Europe. And so they either they camp out at the fence or you let them in. But these countries are under no obligation. I understand the suffering over there of the real refugees, not these phonies. But I disagree that they have some sort of obligation because of the principles of human rights to let everybody in who wants to come in. I'm sorry, but it can't happen. There's no way to incorporate that many people into a nation and not have the nation changed for the worse. So in this particular instance, I'm going to have to come down on the side of Czech Republic President Milos Zeman and say that if they think they need to seal their borders, by gum, just seal their borders and be done with it. So now let's take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
Okie dokie, welcome back. So, the Olympics have started in Rio. When things get stale, I hop on a boat and sail to Rio. That's what was that, the Doobies? Yeah, that's it. And evidently, since the Doobies were last in Rio, things have changed a lot, where there are body parts washing up on the white sandy beaches. Yay. And there's brown water that's, 1.7 million times more polluted than regular water that we're used to. Hooray. And we got gangs and favelas, and we got the drug wars going on, and we got ISIS down there, and it's just a grand old time. This is, if I can just, again, digress just a little bit, go off topic slightly. Well, it kind of isn't off topic. It is the topic. It is the Rio Olympics. Maybe, just maybe, will the International Olympic Committee learn a lesson finally from this? That first it was Russia, and now this. Could we stop holding the Olympics in these third world backwater hellhole countries that it's so pathetic? Dorms weren't finished once. It's the same as Russia all over again, except for it's the Summer Olympics. It's just pathetic. And not that I wanted Obama to go to the Olympic Committee and win his bid to have it in Chicago, remember that. But it would have been better served to be in Chicago than in Rio, because this is going to be, I'll predict, well, it's already starting out as a bit of a disaster. So let's just get right into this, shall we? I just want to point out just a few things that have happened since the Olympics started, Friday night, I guess it was. The first thing was that thousands of people took to the streets, including children and old ladies and old men and everything, and they're protesting the Olympics, the fact that the government's spending billions of dollars on the Olympics, and all these people are virtually destitute. Now, I am not for government spending to take care of the people. But when the government is, I was going to say when the government is completely corrupt. Well, gee, ain't that the pot calling the kettle black, so to speak? Gee whiz. But I guess as corrupt as we are, the government in Brazil is even more corrupt. So about 3,000 people took to the streets of the Olympic City, and it turned into the protest, as protests always do, turned into utter chaos right outside the Maracana or whatever it is stadium where the Olympic the ceremony was to be held, or was held, I guess, whatever. And all of a sudden the protest turned into riots, and the riots turned into burning the Brazilian flag. Why is it that rioters always have to burn the flag? What's the point? I don't understand that. It's just a flag. I mean, I am a patriotic American, but if somebody wants to burn the flag, I'm sorry, I just don't take it that personally. it's just a flag. Sure, it's a symbol of America or a symbol of any country, but it's just a symbol. And I am not for symbolism over substance. These people have a beef. Sure, they've got a beef. If they want to burn the flag, what the heck do I care if they burn the flag? What was that one dope? Here we go with the digression again. That one dope that was burning the flag, it was a Black Lives Matter thing or something like that in the U.S., and he ended up lighting himself on fire. What a moron! But these, I guess it just doesn't bother me like it does other people. I don't know if that makes me unpatriotic. I seriously doubt it. But I think it's all a bunch of nothing. But it got to the point where the riots, the police had to try and shut this riot down, and they start lobbing tear gas grenades in the crowd, and people started getting arrested and whatnot. And this is exactly what the Olympics wanted, right? They wanted this, and it was, I don't know if it was televised internationally, but they certainly have video of it, that's for sure, because you got video of everything that goes on every day of everybody's lives, it seems like. And in a completely separate incident, you know, the torch bearers, the guys that they run all over the globe and they carry the Olympic torch, and then it finally ends up at its destination that evening, and they go and they light the Olympic torch, and they let the Olympic Games begin, blah, blah, blah. I don't watch the ceremonies. I haven't watched the ceremonies since probably the LA Olympics. That's how long ago it was. But they're all a bunch of politically correct nonsense. It's just it's ridiculous fanfare. If I don't know, if it were up to me, they'd just start the Olympics, get them going, do the competitions, and then go home. The heck with it. But there was one unfortunate torchbearer who's running through the streets of Rio proudly, and he's got camera crews, and he's got the trucks that are surrounding him, and everybody's on the side of the road cheering him on, and all of a sudden gunshots ring out as he passes one of the favelas on like the north side of Rio or something like that on his way to the stadium, and he takes off in a dead run, and people are wondering, people are on the side of the streets up ahead, maybe they didn't hear the gunshots or something, wondering why this guy's sprinting by him. And it's like, I don't even get what's the deal? I don't even get a chance to look at the torch, because the dude's running for his life as he heard gunshots from gangsters in the nearby favela ring out. And this is just another happy incident at the Rio Olympics. One of, I'm sure, many that are going to come down the pike. It's just the International Olympic Committee are hey, it's political correctness. You got to give it to these third world hellholes. I don't know why. They can't afford to do these types of things. They should be held in Europe or maybe China or America or someplace at least they can afford to do it. Not that we could afford to do it or anything, but at least in America, they end up, the Olympics usually end up making money, not losing billions for the pathetic poor country that has to put it on. And then there was a third incident I want to touch on regarding the Olympics. This comes to us from TMZ. Yes, I don't even know what TMZ stands for. It may not, I don't even know what it stands for. I don't care either. But it's an entertainment network or an entertainment site or whatever. And they reported Friday that a group of Team USA men's basketball players, and they have quotes around it, quote, accidentally, unquote, went to a famed brothel in Rio. Accidentally. Whoops. Now, I'm going to, here we go. You know what? I'm just not going to announce it. I'm just going to digress as I feel. This is my podcast, and by gum, I can do what I want. So, the men's basketball team and the men's hockey team in the Winter Olympics, they're all professional athletes now. And that came out of competing with the old Soviet Union, where our athletes, other than the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 Olympics, I think it was 80, where the college men's hockey team defeated Russia and went on to win the gold, and it was a miracle. And it was an absolute miracle, because usually if they're amateur teams from the United States, they get crushed by these other professional international teams. And yeah, okay, granted it's not fair, but I'm not a big fan of having professional athletes compete on an Olympic stage with amateurs. I don't like it. If other countries want to do it, so be it. So what? Let the college kids go out there and get killed. Who cares? Not literally. Well, maybe literally in Rio, but you know what I mean. But the group up to now, I don't follow NBA basketball. I think they're all a bunch of thugs anyway. Of course, I follow football, and they're no better anymore. But the three standouts, whatever, named basketball players were DeMarcus Cousins, DeMar DeRozan, and DeAndre Jordan. What's with the D names? I don't understand that, but whatever. And evidently, or they thought that they were just going to a spa to have a drink. Well, this this place was no spa. It was a brothel, and you know darn well that these guys knew that this was a brothel. And I don't care whether they want to go to a brothel or not, but it's just so typical of these professional athletes, man. They just, I don't know. But the report, TMZ report, or Yahoo, I guess, reporting for TMZ, reported the USA basketball under Jerry Colangelo, I guess, and Mike Krzyzewski, sorry, I actually know that guy, has spent considerable effort trying to rehab the image of NBA players competing in the Olympics. How's that working out for you there, coaches? Maybe you should get a handle on this. And here's they did try to get a handle on it. And here's how they did it. USA Basketball rented this yacht called the Silver Cloud. And it wasn't even a yacht, it was a cruise ship. It was 514 feet long. It had 196 luxury suites in it. And it was docked in the water off of Rio where nobody could get to it. It has pools, gyms, hot tubs, beds built for 7-footers, bars, a cigar lounge, and plenty of places to play cards and hang out. And guess what? It has it has a spa. Son of a gun. Maybe they didn't like the spa there. They wanted to go to the Rio spa, which was actually a brothel. Oops. And TMZ reports that from the outside, the first floor of the Termas Monte Carlo, which is the spa, quote unquote, is an anonymous, windowless, half-stucco dump. They say that you'd be hesitant to go in there and have them fix the muffler on your car, let alone provide a deep tissue work on a world-class athlete at a spa. This was no spa. They knew it wasn't a spa. They didn't care. They thought it could get away with it, and they got bagged, and so they took off. But such is the Rio Olympics, and I guarantee you, there are going to be a lot of horror stories coming out of Rio, boy. As a matter of fact, there was one other thing, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to the Navy camouflage thing. Well, maybe I'll touch on it real quick. But there was one where a Russian athlete or a Russian coach actually shot a burglar. It was a robber. He was walking through the streets of Rio, and he obviously had a weapon on him, and guy came up and tried and robbed him, and he shot him dead. And there's going to be no charges pressed or anything, as far as I know. But this is just, I tell you, if I were the basketball players, that's where I'd be. I'd be on that cruise ship, baby, and I wouldn't leave. I'd take a armed escort to the games, leave the games, come back to the ship, and that's where I'd stay. Because, man, I'll tell you, Rio during the day, and I think this was in broad daylight where this Russian guy tried to be, the robber hit him. But at any rate, at night, no chance, no how I would go out at night in Rio. not during the Olympics. Are you kidding me, man? If I was an athlete, I'm not. That'd be so difficult. You train your whole life for the Olympics, and then they've got it in this crap hole, and you have to go down there and fight the Zika virus and all the gangs and the brown water, the bodies wash up on shore or the beach. It's just holy crap. And you got to go because this is what you trained for your whole life. You may never get another opportunity, and you have to contend with this nonsense. All because of the political correctness of it has to be held somewhere other than the colonialist West or something. I don't know. So I'll take a quick break. We'll hit on that other thing, and then I'll wrap it up. Be right back.
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
Okay, welcome back. And real quick, I want to just touch on this one thing, just because I'm kind of familiar with it. If you've been in the military in recent years or have seen military uniforms in recent years, you'll know that camo is the thing. Everybody's got the camo. Everybody's got their own freaking camo design. You've got jungle camo, you've got woodland forest camo, you've got desert camo. The Navy, the Army's got their own camo. The Marines have got their own. I don't think the Coast Guard's the only one without camouflage. Maybe they're next. But the Marines, the Army, the Air Force has their own camo. The SEALs have their own camo. I don't know if Delta's probably got their own camo. And the Navy, of course, had to have their own camo, which is called, it's blue camouflage. Sometimes they call it blueberries or aquaflage. And apparently what they wanted to do was to have some sort of uniform, standard work uniform, that would not show the grease and grime and dirt all the time, the way the old Navy uniforms that I used to wear was. And they picked a design which is utterly and completely ridiculous, blue camouflage, which even if you fell in the water, wouldn't camouflage you. So it's not it's just, I suppose it has a use because of the dirt or something. I don't know. But other than that, it's completely ridiculous. And so they're trying to standardize a little more, and they're finally getting rid of these silly blue camouflage uniforms. And they're going to go to a green, I think it's probably like a digital design camo, which has been known not to work. They should all stick with the woodland or desert camo that actually does work, the analog camo, for want of a better term. But for the Navy, aboard ship, that doesn't work. There are practical reasons. Most people aren't familiar. They've seen the old enlisted men's work uniforms. They have the light blue shirt. They've got the blue dungarees, and they've got the Dixie cup or the bucket cap, that white cap, the Gilligan's Island cap. And yes, they weren't the most attractive uniforms, and you didn't look like a badass when you wore them, and whoop-de-doo. But they were practical. And here's the reason why they were practical, is that it goes down to the dungarees and the bucket cap. If you were to fall off the ship, and that happens, people get blown off the flight deck from engines. I've seen people fall off the deck of it. It's not the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, but I've seen people fall off the deck, or a person fall off the deck of an aircraft carrier, and he was okay, and he was rescued immediately. It was, it wasn't out in the middle of the ocean or anything, so it was no big deal. But if you happen to be stranded in the ocean, or if you need to get somewhere, if you fall off, the dungaree pants that they wore and the bucket cap will save your life. Camos, not so much. They were bell-bottom dungarees, and they were bell-bottom dungarees for a reason. And the reason is that once you can strip down, and the bell-bottoms were large enough to where they could actually go over your shoes or work boots without having to take them off. You could slide them over relatively easily. And you get those things off, you tie a knot in the end of both of the legs, and then you slap the waist down on the water, which forces air up into the legs, and it acts like a life preserver, and it works like the balls. It works great. And it's the same with the Gilligan hat, with the bucket cap. You turn that thing inside out, you slap it on the ground, and it will hold some air, and it will actually keep you afloat. That was the practical purpose for a Navy work uniform. They should go back to that. The heck with this camouflage crapola, and it's just completely ridiculous. Now, as far as the camouflage patterns are concerned, they've done a lot of studies on this thing, and I know this gets a little technical, and I don't mean for it to do, but it's a little bugaboo of mine, is that all these camouflage uniforms, the digital camo doesn't work worth a crap. The Army digital camo doesn't work worth a crap. They've proved that. The woodland design is a lot better. The analog design, so to speak. If I had my druthers, we would all go to the CADPAT design, which is a Canadian disruptive pattern. It is the best overall pattern for woods, forests, whatever. It wouldn't work in desert environment. But I don't know. This is just a bit of a bugaboo of mine. But the military spends billions of dollars on these uniforms, and most of them are completely useless. They've been proven to be useless pretty much. But every branch insists on their own uniform, and that's ridiculous. I don't know. It's probably just a waste of time for me to say something like this. But this kind of stuff bothers me, because there's a practicality to the Navy enlisted uniform, and they're getting away from it so they can go to the camo patterns because it's bad to the bone and kids want to wear camo. I don't know what it is. But at any rate, so I guess I'm just going to wrap this up. You guys have a fabulous balance of the weekend. Be good, be safe, and I'm out. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.